Hi, friends. It's me, Jamie, the founder of the Holistic Spa Alliance. And today we are talking about why practitioners struggle. Why practitioners struggle. And more importantly, how do we fix it, right? Because it's wonderful to talk about why we struggle, what we struggle about. It's great to have these conversations, actually. And sometimes it enlightens us that we're not alone in these struggles, but it's also really important to answer why. And then beyond that, how do we fix it? So let me adjust my settings here and bring up my information as this is coming to you live via Zoom. And in the future, if you decide to join us live for these conversations before you ever hear them on replay, they're usually done on Mondays, but at the website, on the website, holisticspaalliance.com, there is a calendar of events and Zooms where you can see what's coming up at what time and join in. And if you join in, the beauty is that you get to interact with us in live time. So we're going to talk about a particular topic, but you get to put in your 2 cents or ask questions or what about this? Or, maybe we'll even go down a few different paths as well. So consider joining us live. It is on Zoom. So again, find that information on our website, holisticspaalliance.com, and take a look at our calendar of events and education. Okay. I am going to jump right into this. And as anybody joins, please, hi everyone. Please, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. You can also ask questions in the comments and I can answer that way. And we are going to keep this relatively quick and to the point, unless it needs to go deeper. So if it is live and you want to go deeper, I'm here for it. Or if it's later, if it's after the live itself and you're listening to this on replay, reach out in whatever platform that you are listening to this on, or go to our website, holisticspaalliance.com, and you can message us there and I will answer anything that may come up. Actually, we also have a pro-only private Facebook group. That might be another wonderful way to ask questions. That is in a vetted private group that only allows spa pros in it. So it's a really wonderful, strong community of just like-minded professionals where we can explore and ask questions, be vulnerable, and help each other during trial and error with questions, anything of that nature. All right. So as we pull this up here. I'll try not to have too many of these pauses along the way, especially as you're hearing it under replay. Don't want that to be annoying. Okay. Why spa practitioners struggle? And most importantly, how do we fix it? So when I first brought this particular topic up, I had a long list. I mean, there are so many different things that practitioners struggle with, right? So I wanted to narrow it down and really figure out what are the top things that we struggle with. And these struggles are from my point of view and a little bit of, what the industry says are the top struggles, right? So a little bit of Google, a little bit of chat has helped me narrow down what these top 5 struggles are for the common spa practitioner. And again, if we didn't cover what your struggle is, or if you have a particular question, reach out. I'd love to address it and continue this conversation because it's in these conversations that once we address it, we can fix it and we can move on. All right. So the top 5 things that practitioners struggle with that I've narrowed down are these. Number 1, not knowing how to clearly explain what you do, who you help, and why that matters. Number 2 is we are underpricing and we have unstable income. I sometimes, even today, 22 years in, still struggle with this, right? I tend to get into somebody else's pocketbook and I am worried about pricing. We're going to jump into that a little deeper, but that's definitely a struggle. Number three, burnout. Whether it be physical, emotional, or mental, burnout is happening everywhere. And gosh, I think that no matter who you are and how long you've been in it, we've all experienced it somewhere, somehow. And we'll go into what it is and why that is as well. And number four is we have no systems or structure to support a sustainable practice. I think sustainable is the key word there. We struggle because we don't have something sustainable in place. We have no system or structure, right? After all, a lot of us, I'm going to put myself into this category. I first started as a passionate young massage therapist who just wanted to get my hands on people, right? And do massages. Later becoming an esthetician and just do facials. But we need systems, we need structure for sustainability. And then the fifth reason in why practitioners struggle is that we're trying to do everything alone without guidance, without community. And gosh, this is really a wonderful example of how and why the Holistic Spa Alliances came about. And I won't go too deep in that, but really the Holistic Spa Alliance on its most surface level is to create a community that wants to see everybody successful. There's no gatekeeping here, right? I love that the saying, I'm not going to say it correctly, something about your flame is not going to go out just because you light somebody else's candle, right? So we truly, strongly, thoroughly believe that. We want to lift and elevate everybody at the same time. We don't believe in inner circles and, if you do this, if you join this, or if you hit this qualification, you're able to be successful. No, we all can be successful. There's room for all of us, and we want to help you be successful. We want to be successful together. So, again, a little snippet into why and how the HSA came around, but a wonderful way to close the top five. We're trying to do everything alone without guidance or community, especially as independents. But small businesses are in this category as well. All right, so those are the five things that we are going to be outlining and talking about today. So let's jump right into it. Back to number one, not knowing how to clearly explain what we do and why this is important. Let me start with saying this. It's important because the clarity and knowing exactly how to explain who we are, what we do, and who we serve reflects from two perspectives. It reflects from the client's perspective, and I think this is probably the most important. The client's perspective is just that, a perspective of usually their experience, okay? And their experience comes from probably the last facial massage, set of nails, energy work, meditation group, yoga class they've come from, right? So their expectations are set based on what they've experienced probably last. And we are all unique. You can go to the same school, learn under the same educators, and follow, gurus and have a holistic approach, but all do something vastly different. And I think that is the most beautiful part of this industry, and what we do is individuality. But with the individuality, we have to really be clear on who we are and what we do. So, from the perspective of our clients, they only know or they only perceive what you're going to do based on their last experience. And then there's the perspective of what I do. I don't do what the neighbor esthetician is doing. I certainly don't do what the neighbor med spa is doing. But if we're all categorized under facials or deep tissue massage or whatever it is that you do generically, which is okay to use those terms, right? Because that's what people know and I can quickly identify with. I know that I want a facial, but now we need to know how to clearly explain it so that they know from my perspective what they're going to get and they're not coming in with their own preconceived notions. So if we are clear, clients are going to feel that immediately. Confusion shows up as over-educating, apologizing for pricing, or saying it depends, right? So also there's that layer of unclear because you haven't set your own um, definitions, boundaries, pricing is not clear. Maybe you have tiered pricing. Whatever the communication is, far beyond who you are as a practitioner and who you want to serve, everything that you're communicating has to be clearly explained. Clarity creates confidence for you and the client. So, not knowing how to clearly explain what we do is found in places like I want you to go back and look at your website. I want you to go back and look at your Instagram bios. I want you to say your elevator pitch out loud. Is it clear? Is it confident? Is there any gray to what you're trying to communicate? Look at your pricing. Look at your policies. You want to make sure that everything is clearly explained. Again, clarity creates confidence. Let's see. We are going to quickly kind of move through this. So if anybody wanted to ask any questions in live time, please do that. But I'm just going to jump right into the fixes and we're going to go through these. So it's a nice quick Zoom for us today, again, unless it needs to be lengthened in time. So here's the fix. You're going to clarify your language and outcomes so practitioners can communicate with confidence. How do we do this? You're going to write one sentence that explains what you help your clients with and who it's for, right? So we are going to, or let me finish this sentence and then I'll describe it a little more, or the next point to this. To continue with, write one sentence that explains what you help your clients with and who it's for. What I want you to do is stop leading with techniques. I want you to lead with results clients will experience. In doing this, it is going to help the client identify with what you're doing and whether or not they need to choose you, right? If you're just coming in for a massage that's Swedish and it's light to medium pressure, sure, that'll capture a few clients. But if I'm telling you that I focus on corrective care massage that is going to help with pain management and increase your movement, both men and women, that's going to speak to a different audience. Okay. So write one sentence that explains what your client, excuse me, what you help clients with and who it's for. And okay. Sorry. I thought I had something pop up on Zoom. I did not. I'm going to keep this moving. All right. From here, we're going to go into the second practitioner struggle. The second practitioner struggle is underpricing and unstable income. Most pricing is inherited from broken industry norms, and they're not built for sustainability. And financial stress leaks into boundaries, availability, and decision making. Okay. You can't feel grounded in your work if your income keeps you in survival mode. So, when you chose your pricing for your 60 minutes, your 90 minutes, where did you pull that from? Was it, did you do an analysis of what's happening in your neighborhood, in your town, in your city, and you pulled an average? Did you pull a number because you went onto a Facebook group and asked, what does everybody charge for this? Or did you create your pricing based on a few real life scenarios like, how much is my overhead? What is my rent? what is the value behind what I offer that is different? And how long have I been working, right? So your value is going to come into play just as much as your expenses, your overhead is, and what you have to offer that is unique and different, right? The positioning of it, supply and demand. There's only one of you that does this, or I'm one of 100 that does a traditional Swedish protocol that is cookie cutter like everybody else, right? So that needs to factor into your price points. And then what product lines are you using? And how much of the products are you using? Are you using the suggested amount? Are you heavy-handed? You have to know these things about yourself, because then you're going to understand your cost per treatment as well in order to establish what your base pricing is to cover your overhead, your time based off your value, and what your cost is to perform the treatment. And we're not going to go too deep into that, and we're not going to dive into dissect it all today, but it is things like rent, lights, heat. Do you have any loans out on any machines? Do you have any business credit cards out there? Do you have, are you still paying off your buy-in for a product line? I hope you're not, but that is an question. Do you have, um, a correct cost per treatment that your product line has given you? What is your laundry expenses? So all of these things you need to know and understand, or you should at least have a really good idea in order to create those price points. So a lot of underpricing comes from not really knowing what that number needs to look like in order to perform a sustainable practice within a sustainable business. And underpricing creates the unstable income. If you are not aware of how much you need to bring in order to, again, run this business sustainably, you're not going to know where you're hemorrhaging money. Are you hemorrhaging money because you didn't add the laundry into this cost and rent is too high? Or you're heavy-handed and use a little more of the product than what is suggested, right? You're not going to know where it's hemorrhaging from. And before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do a few more appointments because I don't have enough coming in. So again, that financial stress leaks into boundaries, availability, and decision making. Again, if you can't feel grounded in your work, your income keeps you in survival mode. You're going to be busting out at the seams, overbooking, trying to figure out how to get more money flow through your business rather than figuring out where the money's hemorrhaging from, which is probably from underpricing, which is creating that unstable income. So here's the fix. Shift pricing towards sustainability instead of outdated industry norms. In other words, it's stop copying what the neighbor business is doing for price points. And if you're not near them as far as the price point, like if it's a significant difference, then you need to back up to example number one and understand how to clearly explain what you're doing differently so that they can understand what the difference is in price based on the value that they're receiving from you. Okay. So, also understanding your income is going to be based off knowing how many sessions you can realistically do within the week without burnout. Okay. So you also want to set yourself up for success. Depending on what your overhead is and your rent and all of the things that we've just gone over, right? You need to know how many treatments you're going to need to do in order to hit those numbers as well. So decide how many sessions or figure out how many sessions you can realistically do per week without burnout. That's the bigger part of the equation there, without burnout. And as I've just said, just to summarize, price services so that numbers support your income, not exhaustion, right? No more hemorrhaging. Moving on to the third reason practitioners struggle is burnout. And I said this at the beginning that it doesn't matter who you are and how successful you are in this industry, how long, and you've got it down packed now, burnout can creep up on anybody, physically, emotionally, and or mentally. It is usually because something is out of balance. Hands-on work and emotional holding of space, energy, plus no recovery time, right? Are you doing self-care, or you're not, putting lunches in there, or you're just going with no stop, no breath in there? It's inevitable depletion, okay? Burnout isn't a problem. Excuse me. Burnout isn't a passion problem. It's a structure problem. Burnout is a system failure. It's not a personal one. So if you're experiencing burnout or let's see, you can sometimes be self-aware enough to slow down and identify as you're going into burnout. That's a great time to really slow down and ask yourself or figure out where the imbalance is that's creating the burnout. But on the flip side, if you've just been going, and unable to be self aware and stop for those breaths, and you find yourself in full blown burnout, and like, what am I going to do? Am I going to quit this and start this? Am I going to, what? I mean, so many scenarios go through your head when you're in burnout phase. You think, I can't do this. I can't, create a sustainable practice. I can't keep going on. Sometimes we do find ourselves there. And I want to encourage you to know and understand that sometimes we do find ourselves all the way there at the end in full blown burnout. You can still recover from this, okay? It's going to take some time. It's going to take some good self reflection, and it's going to take some support, but it can be done, just to add that bit of encouragement in there. The fix is build practices that respect capacity, boundaries, and recover. All right. So some of this starts with just really identifying with what the root cause of your burnout is. Is it a physical pain in my wrist as a massage therapist? Okay, that's too many services in a day, in a week, without self-care, maybe without rest. Maybe I need to realistically look at the fact that I have been massaging for almost 22 years now, and deep tissue needs to possibly be taken off of my menu. It is going to be individual for you, but you need to do some self-reflecting to figure out where the root is coming from for burnout. I do like to start with cap your weekly bookings. So burnout a lot of times can also be a full book. And then because of scarcity mindset, somebody calls and they want an appointment. You're like, oh, okay, I'll add myself on for another hour here and another hour there. And there's a time and a place for that. I'm not saying never. But what I'm saying is if you create boundaries based on the lifestyle, the longevity, and prevention of burnout, boundaries are important, okay? Boundaries aren't there just to say I have boundaries and these are my lines. They're there for real, tangible, long-term sustainability, okay? So cap your weekly bookings. Know how much you can do. Understand how much you can do. Now, obviously, there's a balance here based on needing to pay overhead and produce an income. Obviously, we're a direct commission-based, usually, type of business. So we rely heavily on these bookings. But let me tell you that overbooking yourself and putting yourself into burnout is a scarcity mindset. And when you create boundaries, healthy, energetic boundaries, you're creating an energetic abundance. Okay. So you're actually going to see that go the other way if you really dive into that energetic holding of space. The other thing that you can do is you can schedule non-negotiable rest or admin time, just like client appointments. And again, this is going to look different from person to person. I can't tell you to book yourself a lunchtime from 11 to 12 every day. That might not be realistic to you. I'm a mom of two young children. I work mom hours. I come into work after my kids are in school and I'm there to pick them up from the bus because that's what's important to me. And those are my boundaries. Okay. So I book 3, sometimes 4, but what I do is I put 30 minutes between each client. That does a few things for me. That's my boundary. And let me back up and finish my sentence there. What that does for me is I don't feel rushed. I don't feel rushed in between to get my room flipped and clean. I feel like I can still have a conversation with my client. I can still educate them after the session. We could talk about retail. We can talk about home care. We can talk about the new puppy they just got or the vacation that they're going on. I don't feel stressed and rushed into needing to get back into my room in order to flip it and be ready for the next person. Okay. So I personally put 30 minutes, and there are certain clients that I'll put 45 minutes or an hour behind after I get to know them. That's on course, but a little off course there. Another thing that I do is I now only book myself 3 days out of the week during those mom hours. And I choose to have one evening out of the week that I work. And it is the most coveted time because it's after hours for traditional 9 to 5 workers, right? And I will work into the early evening, and it's the one day that meals taken care of at the house, the kids are taken care of at the house, and it is my way of still figuring out where to put clients, how to accommodate certain things, but it's still within my own boundaries. And then I have my 2 days a week off to do administrative and rest time. And once a month, I get myself a massage and a facial from another wonderful practitioner who is a dual therapist. And I have my personal time, my me time, my recovery time, because it is just important. And so scheduling those non-negotiable rest or admin times, just like client appointments, is important because then it's on your schedule. You're going to do it, right? It's not going to be like, oh, if I get to it, or oh, I'm going to put something else in there, or there's nothing on my calendar, so I'm just going to sneak this person into there as well. These are non-negotiable appointments for yourself, this downtime. We could go on burnout. I'm going to leave it there, and we are going to talk about the next practitioner struggle, which is a big one, in my opinion. No systems or structure. And I hear this a lot in talking with other fellow therapists because, excuse me, and I said this closer to the beginning, but we come into this excited to be a massage therapist or an esthetician. I keep using those as an example because that's the type of practitioner that I am. And you want a massage, and I want to do facials. And sure, massage school 22 years ago gave me a little intro to business, and same with aesthetic school 12-ish years ago, a little a bit of business. But there really wasn't an outline for setting up systems or structure. And without systems, everything costs more energy than it should. And energy is your time, and time is valuable. This in itself can create an unstable business model for success. It can obviously bleed into the previous topic we just talked about, burnout as well. So everything costs more energy than it should without systems. The lack of structure creates chaos, even when demand is high. So this is interesting because you can be busy, 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 right? But it feels so chaotic to you. Or you just can't get a breath in, or you can't understand why, you can't get from one task to the next without feeling the chaos or that angst. Systems and structure are there to prevent that angst, to help get rid of the chaos. Okay. Structure doesn't limit freedom, it creates it. And I have to say, I am a Gemini and I love to be free flowing and air sign. And it has taken me a long time to really swallow that pill, for lack of a better term. I enjoy fluidity, but what I have realized and learned is that you have to have the systems or the structure in place. Um, so the fix here is we need to use clear framework and repeatable processes to reduce overwhelm. So again, it's standardizing the things, some of the examples that we talked about above. It is setting schedules and capacity limits. So your availability doesn't depend on guilt or exhaustion. It's clear, it's outlined. I'm not saying guilt never creeps in, but it's when you structure the business, I noticed a huge shift in even how I interacted with my guests in live time, right? Face to face when they're trying to rebook and I don't have any more appointments available. I used to have the guilt set in before I set my schedule and capacity limits. And when they were in front of me, I was like, oh, I feel bad. Okay, I'll open this. But when I shifted into really outlining, or it was more so, it was defining it, right? It was putting it onto a piece of paper and defining it for myself that I could just stand tall in its truth. And I'm sorry, I don't have any more evening appointments this week. I do on this particular date. And it became more matter of fact, and the guilt has truly like slipped away for me. And I noticed that my guests were okay with it. I mean, of course, why wouldn't they be, right? What goes on in our minds where we create these scenarios and we dream up these interactions that are going to happen? Like, is my client going to yell at me? Probably not. Sure, they might be disappointed, but as a matter of fact, I don't have this appointment until this particular date. And they're going to take it or they're going to leave it because it also doesn't work with their schedule, perhaps. And they don't feel guilty that it doesn't work with their schedule and that they're asking for something different. So why should we, excuse me, why should we feel guilty about that? Okay. I felt that there was a better mutual respect in our schedules. And honestly, when I started doing this, I have clients now that book the way I do it that works for me. I basically have forever clients now. They're booked 3 months out at a time, once a month, and they hold their standing appointments. And I'm not going to get into cancellations and sick days and all that stuff with you, but I'm going to let you know that it has worked so well. And they know my value and they understand my schedule and my boundaries and what I can do, what my capacity is. And they've chosen to get on my books 3 months ahead so that they're always on my schedule and they don't miss out with me. And that did not come until I put these systems or the structure into place. Okay. We're going to standardize the other fixes. We're going to standardize services, pricings, and policies. So you're not renegotiating your value every session. Oh my goodness. When I first started as a practitioner, I was underpricing insanely. But then when I decided to up my price, of course, I had a few that was, oh, this used to be your price. If they hadn't seen me for a period of time, would you still honor that? So really outlining and standardizing. What I mean by standardizing is like put it in black and white, right? Have it on your website, have it in a menu. You can hand it to them. They can sit with it. They can see it. Here's what I offer for a service. This is the price for it. And here's my policies. I have a 24-hour cancellation policy. I don't know, whatever it is, what your policies are. Do you expect them there a certain amount of time prior to do an intake, a thorough intake? Do you expect them there early because you have a suite on the fifth floor down the hall? All of these policies need to be outlined. These structures, again, they don't limit your freedom, it creates it. And the last fix, just as an example today, is simple rebooking and follow-up process. so that the care continues without relying on memory or energy. Never let, I would say, I'm stopping because I've got all these thoughts in my mind. I don't know if it's the biggest takeaway for this particular practitioner struggle, but within number four, no systems, we don't have systems or structure. I think one of the biggest takeaway, arguably, would be to have simple rebooking and follow-up processes. Because if you just say, all right, reach back out when you are ready to book with me again, life gets in the way. So ask them before they leave or send them a rebooking link if they're still, dare I say, in the Stone Ages. I have a few of those clients. I still love them, but they're still working off a calendar, pen and paper style. Okay, so they need to go home and compare it. Yeah, that gives a little insight into some of my clients that I'm still working with, but I'm going to tell you they're my bread and butter. So simplify the rebooking. It's as simple as asking them, okay? And then the follow-up processes. So your care continues without relying on memory or energy. Oh, I've got to follow up with this person. I've got to do this. I've got to remind them that their appointment is coming up. In most of our point of sale systems nowadays, it has that follow-up feature. I highly suggest you utilizing it if you're not. But anyway, all right. No systems or structure. That was number four. And those quick fixes. Number five, and the last one for my top five of why practitioners struggle is we try to do everything alone. Oof, I resonated with this one. I probably spent far too many years alone before deciding to reach out. I was afraid, honestly. I was like, another business isn't going to help me. Another massage therapist isn't going to, want to give away their goods. We're in competition. And that was such an infant mindset. I have so matured past that, and I welcome fellow massage therapists, estheticians. I even welcome on this platform fellow educators, right? There is enough clients out there. We cannot possibly serve everybody. So if I could share anything, it's move from that scarcity mindset into an energetic that is so fulfilling, and it takes so much off of your negative off of your plate to know that we are not in competition with anybody. Reach out. Isolation causes second guessing, installed growth. Find a mentor. Find an accountability partner. Join the Holistic Spa Alliance community. This is why we are here. Stop trying to do everything alone and move from a scarcity mindset into an abundance, and that we can all elevate together. And truthfully, we can all be successful together at the same time. It might happen differently at different timelines, but it can happen and will happen. The industry trained independence, not collaboration or support, unfortunately. No sustainable profession is built in isolation. It'll come to a certain point where you do have to reach out for help because you can't do it alone, but nor should you, frankly. So the fix to this one is pretty obvious. Grow with a supportive professional community instead of alone. Oh my goodness, if you're hearing this on replay, thank you for being part of our community. And there's so many more wonderful communities out there. I think that's the beauty. Like, figure out what you need and pull a little bit from each. You don't have to be in just one either, by the way. I'm not in that scarcity mindset either. I think there's a ton of wonderful communities out there. I just hope to hit a certain niche that resonates to a certain part of what you're looking for. I'll take a little piece of you. I don't need all of you. And I think that abundance aspect is wonderful, and we should all at some point mature into that and step into that. So join our professional community, or if you've not, we have a pro-only Facebook group. Of course, you're here during the community for a replay right now. Be sure, though, if you haven't, to sign up for pro emails because you'll stay up to date, especially in the next thing that I'll mention. But stop making every decision in isolation. Even if you start with an accountability partner, I have, again, the private Facebook group. That would be a great place to start by saying, hey, I'm a such and such type of practitioner and I'm looking for this type of accountability. Is there anybody out there that wants to partner with me? I would love to be just the connection there for you to find who you can collaborate with. So stop trying to do everything alone. All right. Now, in conclusion, what we talked about today isn't about fixing you. I want to make that really clear. Why practitioners struggle, it's not about you, okay? Most practitioners aren't struggling because they lack skill, passion, or care. We're frankly fucking fantastic at that. We're struggling because the foundation of our practices was never built to support us. Okay, we also weren't taught that unless we did go out and choose to take a business course or we started there in a previous job. Okay, we're here because of our passion. But when clarity is missing, income feels unstable. When structure is missing, burnout follows. And when support is missing, everything feels heavier than it needs to be. So, how is the HSA showing up? Why are we here? The foundation, which is a new course launching soon, was created to change this. It's about putting the right things into place so your practice can support you, so your work can feel sustainable and you don't have to build or figure this out alone. So if any part of today felt familiar, again, sign up for your pro emails or make sure we're not going to spam because we will be launching the foundation course. And the foundation course, there's more to come, but I'll give you a little snippet. It's to define, to redefine, or refine, align, and or elevate what you've already established. So if you're new or you're seasoned, there's a place for you to really structure and make sure your foundation is so strong. It's set up for success. It's set up for sustainability. It's set up for longevity. So this is an invitation to stop surviving in your practice and start building it with intention. Okay. So, as usual, I always want to leave you with something tangible that you can do on your own, even outside of the foundation, if now is not the time or you're going to do it in the future. I have a downloadable that will be linked wherever you are replaying this from. And it's a little bit of practice foundation, but it's homework for why practitioners struggle, at least these top 5 and where to start. So it gives you the struggle. For instance, number 1 is clarity, explaining your work and value. I've outlined what the issue is, which is unclear language leads to hesitation over explaining and inconsistent bookings. So here's what you can work on. And I'm not going to read this for each. I'm just giving you the examples of the first. So in one sentence, what problem do you help clients with the most? Second question, who is this work best suited for right now? Number 3, what result do clients consistently report after working with you? So once you answer those, then you're going to relay that information, which is now clear, it's outlined, it's defined, it's fixing the top 5 problems that practitioners struggle with. Again, this is for you to download, do it on your own. Of course, if you run into any issues, please email me. Find me my email on holisticspaalliance.com or go over to the private Facebook group, ask your question there, and my eyes are always on that. I'd love to help through any questions that might come up for you. But it's a really nice practice foundation homework, a place for you to start if any of this practitioner struggle top 5 aspect really sounded familiar for you. So thank you for being here, as usual. Find the replay on our website, holisticspaalliance.com. Reminder, again, sign up for pro emails, which is linked in our Instagram link tree or our website. And please follow us on social media and join our private Facebook group for pro only. And much success to you all. Until next time.